in any way, shape, or form, this may not be the show for them to look at tonight, all right? Simply because some youngsters get involved in this and frankly end up suicides. We don't want to be responsible for any of that tonight because we have some pretty graphic stories we're going to pass on to you. Joining me first at our loudmouth, and
they are old now. To the traditional people, the loss of their culture means...
in any way, shape, or form, this may not be the show for them to look at tonight, all right? Simply because some youngsters get involved in this and frankly end up suicides. We don't want to be responsible for any of that tonight because we have some pretty graphic stories we're going to pass on to you. Joining me first at our loudmouth, and let me introduce Father Labar from the Archdiocese of New York. Father, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to you.
How are you, sir? And at home base with us tonight is Sean Carlson, the Center for Scientific Examination of Religion. Sean, how are you tonight, my friend? Father, let me start up with you. We've seen Hollywood's portrayal of the devil in countless films over the years, most notably, I guess, The Exorcist. Does Satan, the devil, exist in our society? And if so, does that mean he then exists in our lives?
Well, Satan does very much exist. There's no question about that. And I think that movie, The Exorcist, though we wouldn't have said so a number of years ago, does really represent the highest point of devil involvement. It was the most accurate portrayal of an exorcism and a possession that I've ever seen, and people have told me that.
And has the devil exhibited himself in that form before you saw that movie? Have you seen such things as furniture being cast across the room with nothing to throw it across the room, someone's head turning around in circles, spitting out vomit and puke and nails and all that?
Well, I have to say, fortunately, I've never seen any of that, but I've certainly read an awful lot of reports on that subject. And I know from, in the last 10 years, we've seen in the public media and also through church sources, too, an increasing number of instances where this happened.
Churches is very careful, aren't they, before they will go so far as to say there is actually a demonic possession.
Oh, very much so. We try to eliminate every psychological and psychiatric possibility before we would even think of looking into a solely demonic activity.
All right, then, would you say once Satan has taken possession of a person's body that he can control that person, and that person has no control themselves?
That would be right, because possession is the highest form of devil involvement. First of all, everyone has temptations. We all know that. The devil made me do it. That's the lowest form of devil activity. Tempts everybody to try to do wrong. Then we have a little stronger one where the devil oppresses people or almost gives them an obsession, where strange things happen, like you talked about before, things flying around the room, things of this sort. There was a case in Scranton last year, 1986, that is, where the people reported to the bishop in Scranton that these things were happening in their house. So it is going on.
Little things maybe, too, like you lose something and you can't find it. Is that possible?
That's a favorite ploy of the devil in oppressing people, particularly those who are fighting against him. He'll find things missing when you need them, find things in strange places, and, I've had it happen to myself, make up something for a particular program I'm doing, and then it disappears. I hunt for it for hours, can't find it, go do the program anyway, come back, there it is sitting on the desk.
But if the devil, all right, has this power, if the devil has this power to play these little games, I mean, for instance, the other day I lost my address book, and I looked under my bed because that's where I was sure I laid it the night before. There's nothing under my bed. My wife looked for 2 days. Last night I came home, and I looked under my bed again, and there it was. Did the devil do that?
Well, I wouldn't want to be one.
And if he did, I ain't going home.
You can be sure, though, he's not there. He's just playing tricks.
But why would he play tricks? He's not a funny guy. He's not a nice guy. He's not cute. He's demonic. He's hateful. He's evil incarnate.
Right. He's the master of lies and deceit, too. And so I would say, and I firmly believe it, this program here can bring a lot of information about the devil, and perhaps he's trying to scare you a little bit.
He would have got me a long time ago. Probably after my second marriage. Father, is exorcism a realistic alternative to combat satanic possession of the human body?
Exorcism is the last resort. There are times when everything else doesn't seem to work. Person seems to be sick, no cause of disease. Someone seems to have to manifest certain extraordinary signs that have no human or earthly explanation. When person begins to exhibit great antipathy, great hatred to anything religious, then the church says there might be devil possession there.
Why does the church wait until the person is opposed to something religious? Can't you be possessed? Can't the church accept possession unless you're attacking Jesus or Christ or religions or the Virgin Mary or something?
Right, well, not attacking it, but the fear of it. For example, the old one, hold up the cross to get rid of the vampire, or the werewolf, rather. You know, this kind of thing. The strict aversion to anything religious. I don't mean that they're attacking religion. In many cases, the people are most calm in religious matters. But when a religious symbol comes about, then we have a problem. For example, 1928, there was a case in Iowa where the girl was in the hospital for months. Nobody knew what was wrong with her. And a nice, saintly sister used to sprinkle holy water on the food every day. And one day she finally got around to this room. The nurse took the food in. The food was thrown up in her face. And the nurse thrown out of the room. This was the first indication that something was wrong. Everybody said, well, she must have slipped. So they brought another dish of food in. Sister didn't bless that. The girl ate it fine. So, passed. Nothing happened. But as more and more signs came, they then portrayed a test. And they had Sister sprinkle 2 out of 3 trays. Only Sister knew which one she didn't sprinkle. And each one of those trays were brought in, and the only one that got in the room was the one that was not sprinkled with the holy water. So when you have strange things like this happening, when you have superhuman strength, when you find the person in the bed up on the ceiling instead of in the bed when the priest walks in the room.
I beg your pardon? Up on the ceiling?
On the ceiling, yes.
I've had a few nights like that.
We had a case in Rome some years ago where a particular priest walked by a hospital room on his way to visit another person. A terrific scream in the room. And the priest looked in the room, and there was the girl up on the ceiling instead of in the bed, and the 2 attendants looking rather dumb, wondering what happened. So these are the kind of things which leads the church then to say, when nothing natural or even preternatural is the explanation, then it must be supernatural.
All right, let's go to Sean Carlson, who's with us. The Center for the Scientific Examination of Religion.
The Committee for Scientific Examination.
What is that, Sean?
It's an organization that's dedicated to evaluating critically claims that can be evaluated. It has a large number of biblical scholars who investigate various things having to do with biblical criticism, and there's recently been a wing, which I'm a part of, which investigates miracles and claims of possession and other things physical manifestations that can be scientifically scrutinized.
What have you found about miracles before we go into demonic possession?
Well, we've investigated numerous miracles, and in every single case we found that the people were either deceiving themselves quite sincerely, or we found deliberate fraud. We haven't found any example yet of anything that we could not find a natural explanation for.
Any miracles that have resulted in the beatification of human beings and the canonization into sainthood?
We haven't investigated specifically those, because they tend to be historical. The people tend to have been dead for a long time.
And because the Catholic Church investigates them very thoroughly themselves.
That's true. And they have somebody during the process when they're trying to establish whether or not it's a miracle, they actually have someone play the devil's advocate. That's where the word comes from, who tries to disprove the miracle. And certainly the Catholic Church has been satisfied in the reality of numerous of these claims.
But what do you think then? What do you think then of exorcism?
I think that, first off, I want to say that I believe that Satan does exist in our society, at least in that people believe in Satan. Right? Whether or not a demonic agency actually exists, that's something we're still looking for evidence for. We have not found any clear evidence of anything that we could not explain. I think I lost track of what your question was.
Do you believe that exorcism has a beneficial, is it a beneficial situation or is it a placebo?
Well, it certainly can be beneficial if the person who the exorcism is performed on believes sincerely that that person is possessed.